the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Nothing much. It's been a great week. How about you, Shaka?
It has also been a great week for me. Prior to last week, I was anticipating the vax. I got my first vax.
Woo!
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Thank God, because you.
I know you're tired of hearing me talk about it. Everybody tired of hearing me talk about it. Second vaccine on April the 6th. So y'all got until then. So that's three or 4 weeks. Don't worry about it. But I'm excited.
Awesome. So we are also excited for another reason. We have a guest this evening. Our guest, we are proud to welcome Mr. Tim Jacobs, retired NFL player and DMV born and bred. So welcome
Absolutely.
to the show, Tim.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Man, we're so excited to have you. Tim, we love having guests. We don't have that many so far. We've been on for 4 seasons, so we're just honored every time. And thank you for joining us. And DMV.
Absolutely.
DMV.
Yeah,
that's the DMV crowd. That's the DMV crowd.
As our listeners know who have been bearing with us for these 4 seasons, we are from the DMV and we are very proud of that fact. So it's awesome to have someone join us who is also from the DMV. Absolutely.
Well, and also, as we will talk about in the show, Tim, you've done so many things as Sham talked about. You played in the NFL. So we will talk about that. And then you've had so many local initiatives and still have them in the area, and you're doing so many good things. So we just have so much to talk about with you. And thanks again.
Awesome. I look forward to sharing. Looking forward to the journey tonight.
Definitely. Sham, how has your week been?
It's been very low key compared to last week. I have hours left before I'm fully vaccinated. So I'm gonna feel a little bit better being out on these streets.
Oh, right. Because you got the one shot dose and they give you a time frame.
Yeah. So the time frame will be up tomorrow. So
how the side effects been?
None since that first day. The arm soreness, I had a little tingling in my fingers. Had a headache the next day, but I think I expressed that might have been from the wine I drank the night before. So, but other than that, it's been real chill. And I read something earlier that said that if you don't experience any side effects, the vaccine might not be working. So you better hope to feel something.
Yikes. By the way, I don't think drinking wine is on the list of things you're supposed to do after taking a vaccine.
They just told me I couldn't take a leave. So I figured everything else was good.
It's one of those things like, I don't even want to ask them, should I drink wine? Because I don't want to get a side eye. Should you what? Get out. Wait your 15 minutes and then get out.
Pretty much.
Tim, how are you feeling about the vaccine?
Well, I have mixed emotions, to be honest. I have not gotten mine yet. At first, I was adamant no.
That's where I was.
Okay.
I was adamant, like, nah. And then I was like, well, I probably should. And now I'm like, I really don't know. And it's nothing to do with the history of the vaccinations and how people or nothing like that. I just feel that this has had to be microwave, so to speak. Typically vaccinations take about 5 years to be, after effects, side effects, all of that. The lab test with the mice. And, I feel like, due to current conditions is warranted and is needed. But yeah, so that's where I am right now.
Cool. Well, it's an ever evolving process, right?
It is.
And you're talking through what I think a lot of our listeners and everyone is thinking about, like, what's the best choice for me? What's the best choice for me being around my family and everything else? And I respect that. I'll be transparent. I've been pretty ham about taking it. And I've taken it, but I have, Sham has been one of the people to help me in this journey of respected everyone else's decision-making in the process. So, and pretty much as long as I get it, I'm good now. I didn't want to say it before, but I'm good.
That's why I say, I'm kind of mixed emotions about it.
That's cool.
Happy for those that get it. They obviously believe it's going to help. And I do believe that ultimately it will help. But one of the concerns is, just for me, it's about building up my immune system, keeping that strong. I got the flu vaccination back when I was in college, the one time, and the after effects, and I said never again. And I didn't get another one, and knock on wood, been good. But again, I'm very proactive, with my health. I'm definitely going to stay masked up. I'm definitely going to do my best to stay socially distanced. I'm not going to be down there like them folks down in Miami just wilding.
Ooh, I was going to ask you.
The weather breaking, everybody, mind thinking it's complete freedom. No, we still in the pandemic. And, then these other variants are popping up, and they're saying that 30% of the new cases in the U.S. now are the UK variant. It's just like, my goodness, UK shut down. Like, we got to be proactive, and it's just, to me, is discouraging that this thing has been politicized. It's not about politics at all. This is about the human race. Like, this is about our survival at the end of the day. So, I feel pretty confident with the administration being transparent and getting their agenda out there and executing their agenda. Whereas, prior to, you didn't know, you had no faith in that office. So I think that's helpful. But again, folks just got to get the politics out the way. And, if you're not getting it, just be proactive, washing your hands, all of that good stuff, wearing your mask. Like, yeah, it's inconvenient. It's something we've never had to go through, but it's necessary. So
absolutely. I couldn't have said that more.
It's
better.
A light inconvenience compared to
absolutely
the other end of the spectrum. So I'll wear the mask as long as I have to. I'm in total agreement with you. It's funny that you mentioned getting the flu vaccine one time and feeling horrible afterwards. I think I told a story on this podcast about that happening to me as well. I had it one time in my life, and it was the worst I ever felt. After being I mean, for days, I was just down. I said, I am never, ever getting a flu shot again. And I didn't. I think that was 2008. And I said, nope. And I'm pretty healthy person. My immune system is very, very good. So, and I said this to Shaka too about because my immune system is so strong, I didn't know if I wanted to compromise it by getting the vaccine. But the more and more I thought about it, I prayed about it. I was like, this is for humanity. So that was like my ultimate reason why I felt it was less about me than about trying to slow the spread or whatever. But again, I've talked to Shaka about just respecting people's opinions and wishes about it. And when people are ready, they will do it. And if they never do, that's okay too. Just know that there are going to be a lot of people who do it, and that's going to slow it down.
Agreed.
And just when I thought Texas was the one wilding out, Miami said,
like you said, you pointed that out. But yeah, that thing right there, like that imagery is like, oh my gosh, man.
Let's just throw your hands up. What are y'all doing? Like, seriously.
Come on, y'all. I'm glad they put the curfew. I'm surprised. Well, no, I'm not surprised. If it had been up to the stupid governor down there, DeSantis, then he let them do what they want. But Miami has a mayor. And he put the curfew back on. And good. Like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
But that's the thing, like being proactive versus reactive. You knew spring break was coming. There should have been some type of stipulations ahead of time, not where it gets to this point where now you got to shut down traffic, shut down the bridges, curfew. It's still too late.
Agreed.
Like, because these folks going to go back to wherever they live, wherever they came from. Then what? Like, it's a detriment to the country and to society, really.
Yeah, definitely. And look, speaking of reactive and some of the proactive things we could do, the other big thing, this week, the vaccine has been going out and all that, and reactions to it, mask mandates and stuff like that. We talked about that. But the shooting in Atlanta, or shootings, plural, and multiple deaths. So 8 people dead, multiple massage parlors. Obviously, it's also opened up a bigger argument about anti-Asian sentiment and Asian hate. So, really just want to open up the floor for you. Again, those were really the 2 big things. You give me your thoughts about the vaccine. What's your thoughts about the shooting and everything, the aftermath from it?
Well, first off, prayers and condolences to all of those families. It's sad, man. Hate is the most ignorant character one can have. Hating a person because of their ethnicity, because of their color, like they've done absolutely nothing to you. We don't know the whole backdrop, but for the fact that they're not ruling this a hate crime off the break is stunning to me. This guy targeted all Asians, right? It's incredibly sad. And you know, a lot of that hate, again, you know, when you're in a position of power and influence and you're spitting out the Chinese virus and this type of, it perpetuates that hate, you know? So it's just sad. We got to do better, really. I mean, hate for anybody to me is just complete ignorance, you know, but you know, it's not an innate quality, it's taught, you know, so a lot of these folks are just taught, and you know, just like you know, with the Capitol, and just it's just been so much, and there's never been to me a bigger divide in this country. I don't think really since I've been living, where you know you don't know what the next person represents, you know, and if they represented what you didn't believe in, you know, it could be a problem. It's a conflict because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what party you're a part of. If you're a good person and you're trying to change things for the better on all levels, I can get behind you and support you. But when you are constantly fostering all of this hate and this divide, and is, you know, again, it's not even about the politics, but yeah, you know, I mean, you know, that hate on the Asian community has definitely increased. But the hate on our community, you know, has also seems like it is at an all-time high. But my only wish is that folks would just see folks as human beings, you know, and treat them accordingly. But, and I know that's somewhat of a fairy tale world because this thing is just so deep rooted, you know, and it's been taught and, you know, advocated for generations and generations. So it's not going to happen overnight. But yeah, definitely, it's tragic and it's sad.
I like a couple of things you said when you were talking about when they were talking about the virus. The term Kung Flu virus is just ignorant.
That's
as hell.
Freaking
it's horrible. And for the president of the United States to say it, and then other people say it after him, and people still say it, it's ridiculous. And then also to your point, yeah, hate is taught. You know, I always, back when school was normal, right? When you see kindergartners and stuff, and the teachers bring them out, they make them all hold hands when they cross in the street,
right?
And like they don't care.
No,
they don't care. Like white kid, black kid, Asian kid, whatever kid. They, you know, they hold each other's hands and stuff. And you know that commercial with the little white boy running to the little black boy. Yeah. Absolutely. They don't care. It's taught. It's taught. So, but yeah, anytime, like, and we see that every day when you drive, well, again, before pandemic,
right.
You saw that every day. Little kids do not care. So of course it's taught. Absolutely. But it's very sad. And to your point, one thing, that press conference was an absolute disgrace from the police.
Oh, from the sheriff's office?
Yes. Yeah. Like you said, how they didn't even want to call it a hate crime and want to blame it on his pornography addiction and this and like, stop.
No. Ain't no pornography addiction going to have you running out here wanting to murder folks. Like, come on, man. Seriously.
You're killing Asian people. It's a hate crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the unfortunate situation we've been facing for many, many years. You know, it's a different bar and it's a different justice system for different folks. And I'll just call it what it is. But, you know, had that been you or I, it would have been a hate crime off the top and you would have had to prove otherwise. But here it's quite evident. It's quite obvious, but still we're not going to rule it out.
Oh, no, he had a bad day.
Yeah, that's it. He just had a bad day.
Right.
He had a bad day.
Unreal, man. Unreal.
And nothing about the T-shirt that he was wearing had anything to do with his rage. It couldn't have been. COVID-19 imported virus from China. Oh, no, that had nothing to do with it. Yeah, right.
Oh, mercy. I missed that part. That's what
I missed that part too, Shay. Yeah.
Oh.
But Tim, you're right. They'd have been lying in the electric chair for all three of us.
Oh man, believe that. Off the break.
Who's that? Chris Rock said they bring the electric chair to your house. Yeah. But good to get your thoughts on it. I know it's look, the major news a lot of times is a little bit sad. So, but glad to get your thoughts and thank you for giving them. We're going to move on to bigger and better things because, we're so excited to have you on. Tim, me and Sham. So that's all the little world news we got for tape with Tim Jacobs. But Sham and I, we always like to tell everyone what we're watching and what we're looking at on TV and through entertainment. But you tell us, you are our guest. What has captured your fancy when you have the little bit of time after saving the world out here? When you just sit back and watch TV, what are you watching? Or movies, what are you watching?
Yeah, if I'm watching anything, normally I'll find something on Netflix. The last, I guess, single episode show I watched was The Queen's Gambit. I was late on that, but absolutely loved it. And then there was another one, The Secret. That was on Amazon. But it was just about, it was really about, how your thoughts control your environment, pretty much. Real deep, real uplifting too. As far as
how many seasons for that?
It was just it was a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. Yeah, on Amazon. The Secret.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's a subtitle. I got to think of it.
I've seen it on there.
Yeah. Okay. It's real good. Let's see. As far as I don't really get into series, honestly, because I can't keep up. It's a little time consuming, and I don't want to.
You don't got time for that.
I want to spend my time there. So I can't even. All American was probably the last series that I watched, and I haven't even watched any of the new episodes. So I'm behind on that. So
wait, is this the high school football show?
It is.
Sham, everyone likes this damn show.
I'm telling you, I keep telling you to watch it, but you won't. Yeah. I don't know what.
So Tim, our last guest was Ray Rice.
Okay.
And he loved the show. He was like, I don't watch nothing. Oh, except that football show.
Right.
What's it called?
Yeah, All American. Yeah, it's a good show. Good. And the fact that it was based on true events, I don't, of course they had to cinematize a lot of it, but at the end of the day, real good storyline, perseverance, overcoming, coach having to unite a team from different cultures and races and all of that, demographics. And it was decent. It's decent. Okay. Like I said, I haven't watched season 3 yet, but I'll catch up to it one of these days. I'll binge it one Saturday morning. That's normally how I do. I'll have to just binge. I'll be in that mood to watch TV for a few hours, and that's what I'll do.
Apparently, when you have time to waste, that's what you'll put it on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I don't got time for nothing, but I'll watch that.
And I'll have to make it intentional, like one of those 5 o'clock Saturday morning type of deals until about 10, and then get my day going. So that's how I have to do it.
Like, you can't sleep, go ahead and put it on.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's the idea with the Queen's Gambit. Like, I watched like 3 episodes. It was like 5 until about 8. And then that night I watched the rest of it, probably started about 8 o'clock. And really good show. Really good show.
You liking it? Sham, have you seen Queen's Gambit?
Mm-mm.
I heard it's a good show. I heard it's a good show.
It is. It's worth a while. It really is. It's got so many messages. Even though it's about chess, it's not about chess, if that makes sense. It's about life.
Mm-hmm. It uses the chess metaphor to. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I'm with it already. Yeah, Queen's absolutely. Gambit. That's a chess move, right?
That's it.
Yeah, I'm with it. Okay. Sham, actually, I did. Spoiler alert! I did talk to Tim a little bit about one thing that we've all seen. So we have previewed this Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, thoughts? Whoever wants to go first.
I was uber excited about this for weeks.
Yes.
Right, so, ladies first.
Ladies first. Ladies, then guests. Yeah, that's fine.
I would give it the first episode a B. The first 5 minutes, I was all in. I was like, whoa, they starting out strong, like with Falcon saving the general before he made it to the border of Libya, I thought it was. But sounds right. As it went on, I was like, okay, I need a little more. But I think it, created like a base level plot for it to grow on. So it's going to be in 6 parts. And I think the idea was to record it like it was a movie and then just break it up into 6 parts. So we'll get to it probably about like episode 3 or 4 when we're all like, oh wow. But yeah, I thought it was good. Shaka said he had some smoke for it though. He really
I'm saving. I
haven't seen the first episode yet, so I'm behind on that. I got to get caught up.
Oh,
I got to get caught up.
Okay, when we
I thought you was talking about like the Avengers series.
Okay.
That's my bad. Yeah, I haven't seen the first one yet, but
you're good.
I gotta catch it.
Okay,
well, I don't want to go because I can talk Avengers all day.
yeah. Either way, but yeah,
I'll put it this way. I'm cool. So we've talked a lot about Anthony Mackie in general outside of the show and his stances, which I now agree with even more about Marvel and the inclusion of Black people. So Tim, maybe you can weigh in on this part. Anthony Mackie came out last year and was talking about how, even though he was Captain America and all that, Marvel still needed to do a better job of incorporating Black people, Black actors, Black characters into their universe.
Okay.
And he cited the fact that, look at Black Panther. Like, Black Panther had to get pushed. And basically, Ryan Coogler and everyone made it a self-contained production. But he was like, if Marvel did more of this, they would have more of these results. And it's a shame that they don't do it. And he was very outspoken about that.
Yeah, it's almost like all of those people were hired singularly just to do Black Panther and to make that a full Black experience, when those same people with those same types of jobs could have been hired all along to have various roles in any of those other Marvel movies.
Right. Yeah,
he's
definitely on point, because that thing broke all the records, and I know a lot of us have watched that thing, several times. You see it, sometimes you'll see it on, I'll be like, oh, here we go, I'm stuck.
Tim, I went to the theater and watched that movie 5 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not playing. Yeah, it was great.
I take it you liked it a little bit.
I liked it a little bit. I even watched it. Have you ever been in 4D, Tim?
I have not.
So yeah, 4D, like they actually splash water on you and stuff.
Right.
I didn't know it until the time. Right. Check out 4D when the world gets back to normal. Check out 4D. Okay.
Absolutely.
You helped them break that ticket sale record.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Count my ticket 4 or 5 times. Yeah, but okay. So listen. I want you to be able to see the first episode, but Tim, here's what I will say for the listeners and for you. There was a narrative that was in the first episode that I was kind of like, this isn't necessary. And it brought a lot about race and socio-economic status and all that. Okay. And so you'll know what I'm talking about, and the listeners who've seen it will know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. But it's like, this isn't necessary. Like, I guess you guys are trying to make a commentary, but I guess the bigger point, so that we can bring it back to the discussion, I don't have to be vague, is, look, it's already going to be a thing that Captain America is Black now. So let's just go from there and have him do what he does and have him run into the problems he runs into. We don't need to create additional issues to make a social commentary point. Right. Okay. Because you're doing more harm than good. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see Falcon and how this goes. I'll put it that way. Okay. We'll bring you back and we'll get your thoughts.
Absolutely. I'm gonna check it out
after the conclusion of the season or something like that.
That'll work.
Have you seen the original story in the comic books had a far worse racial connotation to that character. I felt like they avoided that really well. I don't know if I'm picking up what you're putting down. I might have to see it again to see what you're specifically talking about. But that's an interesting point of view that you had about that.
Yeah. And I'm not alone. A lot of times, Tim, I'm alone on these. But I'm not alone on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, did you see Justice League? Anyone on this call or anyone on this episode seen Justice League?
Zack Snyder's?
Yes, the new one.
I watched it last night.
Hey, Tim. You recommend it?
Yes, I do, but
it's a must see.
You're going to need that 5 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay, I was about to say, I want to be, I'll put it this way. You know how you don't have a lot of time to do stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Clear your entire schedule and have nothing to do that day whatsoever. The movie's 4 hours long, Tim.
Okay.
4 hours. Like they got part 1, they have 6 parts and they tell you like this is part 1, this is part 2. So yeah, and an epilogue.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
that epilogue was random. I gotta say.
Yeah, they're trying to. The epilogue is essentially their version of a Marvel end credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to build for the future. But
so the entire 6 episodes is 4 hours.
Yes,
4 hours.
Yeah,
it's a 4-hour continuous.
Okay.
View.
Yeah,
so I don't know, Tim, how much you know about the story of what happened with Zack Snyder and why he had to leave the before the movie was cut.
Refresh.
So he was the original director for the Justice League movie that was released in 2017. His daughter Autumn had committed suicide right after they wrapped the filming and before they were doing the final cut. So he left, and they sought out Joss Whedon, who did the first 2 Avengers for Marvel before he was kicked to the curb. And then he came in, did reshoots, did hugely unnecessary cuts to the movie. And the movie essentially was a flop.
In the theater.
In the theater.
Okay.
So what they did was pretty much gave fans what they wanted, which was Zack Snyder's original vision for the movie. And I just got to say, it was way better than the other one.
Yeah. And so even though you haven't seen the movie, Tim, I know you can relate to this part of the discussion. So to Sham's point, everything she just said. So Zack Snyder came back in like maybe a year and a half ago, like when the pandemic started, essentially. And they were like, hey, you know what? Like, why don't you go ahead and finish the movie that you want to do? So again, as Sam said, they basically wrapped the first movie. So what he did was he did like a couple reshoots. Not a couple, like a few.
Nah, he did a whole lot of reshoots.
Yeah, a lot. And added some stuff onto his original material. But the other director, Joss Whedon, had changed his material so much that it's like 2 different movies.
Oh wow.
Now, what brings us into this discussion is part of those changes was in the DC, like Justice League or whatever, you got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all these people. But you got Cyborg. Cyborg is a black character. And the guy who plays Cyborg, the actor, is named Ray Fisher, he has been screaming from the rooftops for like since that last movie about how racist Joss Whedon was as a director when he came in and took all his parts out of the movie, how Warner Brothers allowed it and this and that. But you know,
and Jason Momoa doubled down on that.
Exactly. And it's one of those things like when you can't see the alternate product. I mean, we as black people believe them because it's like, yeah, that's what people do. But, you have nothing to actually like concretely measure that against. But then now that the actual alternate product came out and you're like, okay, this is what he was talking about. Like they cut that man completely out of the movie and killed the movie. Like he is so integral. His part is integral in the actual original movie. And so it was like they went out of their way to make the movie worse just to be racist, I guess is the point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like when you watch it, you're like, why did they do this? Like, of course. And so like I said, you haven't seen the movie, but I wanted to give you that context because when you go into it and you see the black characters in there, Cyborg's father is Joe did you watch Scandal at all?
It's Joe Morton.
Yeah, Joe Morton. First couple of episodes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't really watch it, but you watched Different World, right? Joe Morton? Yeah, Byron.
Okay.
That's
from
his father.
Another planet.
Yeah. I forgot he was a Terminator too. He was the one that created Skynet. He's a problem. But but he's in it, and they you'll see this movie, and what we're telling you is they basically cut out all that from the
mom. I ain't know the dude had a mom.
Wow.
Like we never saw the mother. Yeah, they cut her out. So everything that he was screaming about, and when he was talking about racism, he was talking about the studios and all this. It brought the point home, man. It was awful. So when you watch it, have all that in mind. See, white people can just watch a movie and just go there. We gotta bring our whole baggage in there, but we got stories.
No doubt.
We want the backstory.
It's a different angle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ray Fisher's scenes were the most like glaring, like the most obvious that were cut. I felt like too, Jason Momoa's scenes. I'm glad that that when I watched last night, I could see where Aquaman came from, where his motivation was and all that, because that was cut from the movie. And it was a really good scene where the Flash is like applying for a job or something that they had taken out of the theatrical release as well. So you got more background about the Flash. Like those three characters were neglected greatly in the final cut from 2017.
Racism in Hollywood, huh?
Man, it's real. It's real. So,
I mean, we'll talk about some other entities that may have some racism moments.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Tim, what kind of music you like?
Oh man, I'm all over the place. I go through my phases. Of course, being from here, go.
Team Cowbell.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Rap, R&B. Been getting into more jazz and classical lately.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's I'm all over. I got my late brother. He's from here, right? Strong go-go head. Pretty much all our lives. He had moved up to Massachusetts, and one time he came home. I'm like, bro, what are you listening to? And he listened to a country station. I was like, I never would have listened to it on my own, but they had some really good stories of country music, man.
They have like some of the best stories.
Some of the best.
They tell you a story, man.
Yeah, they telling you a story. So
make you think.
Outside of heavy metal, I can listen to pretty much anything.
Oh, you can't? No metal?
Nah.
You good on that?
Pass.
A little too loud.
So I got two questions for you. Number one, speaking of go-go, honest answer. What do you think of the DC basketball teams named the DC Go-Go's?
Oh, Capital City Go-Go's.
Yes, the Capital City Go-Go. I ain't gonna say nothing to him.
I would say not a fan of it.
Right?
Nah.
I mean, we from here and we love go-go like the next person, but it don't belong in the nickname.
No logo, no nickname.
Just play the music.
Right. Yeah, not a fan of that.
The Capital City Go-Go, like we could do better than that.
I feel like the name creates a synonymous like disrespect or like of the things that they're trying to celebrate. Like
it's the opposite effect. Yeah.
Right. Like it's
it
like,
really does.
Okay, you're making the basketball team sound corny and you're making go-go sound corny. So what are you doing?
You're making it a joke. Yeah. And it's not a joke.
Nah.
All right. So the second question, more so pertaining to what we talk about music. Have you had a chance to check out Versus?
I did last night, actually.
You watched it last night?
Yeah.
Let's go, Tim.
I was sitting around the fire pit, with a few fellas and had our cigar and things like that. And when I walked in the backyard, I'm like, man, what mix is that? And it was like, it's the Versus. So, man, we sat out there and listened to the whole thing. Took us back. So, yeah.
That was 3 hours, Tim. You had 3 hours?
Out there like this.
Like, I had 3 hours for
cold, but yeah, I was good. Yeah, I mean, it was just... and didn't realize that catalog was so extensive, you know, and I love Wu, when they came out with everything they represent, man, I was like, but that thing was refreshing. It was refreshing for me. So
you enjoyed it?
I did, very much so.
So for the listeners, the verses that we're speaking about is Wu-Tang Clan's Raekwon and Ghostface Killah, and Chef and Tony. Chef versus Tony, and they put on a great show last night. And honestly, I didn't watch the whole thing. I came in after the intermission because I was kind of trapped in the Justice League movie, and then I realized, let me switch.
So long.
Yeah, it was very long.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I missed a thing because the verses was really long. Like I came in after intermission and it was still 2 hours. So, but the feeling I got from it, it was less of a verses and more of a collaboration of sorts. Like it was just like just two of them because they did a lot together anyway, independent of Wu-Tang, and they're arguably the two best lyricists of that group. And
really,
Tim. To have them together would show just like more of a celebration of like just everything that they've given hip hop.
I agree with all that.
Agreed.
Tim, let's go back to the lyricists on Wu-Tang. I'll let you go first.
Man, everybody had a different style and different flow is what I really loved about them, you know. But to me, Meth wasn't the best lyricist. I think he had the best probably delivery. Like when he braced the mic, you just feel
you
it.
Were ready.
Yeah. Probably Jizza was one of the favorites for me.
Okay.
Now Inspector Deck came out at one point and killed it.
Right. Yeah, they
Oh wow.
Everybody just, you know, it's a talented mob, man. You know, like in that documentary, they knew, like, man, when we get a chance to go, we got to bring it. Because, you know, you got a group of like 9, whatever, you know, so it's like you had to bring it, and it was, you know, really showcased in their music.
So you watched the documentary?
I did.
I did not see it. Nor did I see Versus last night.
I've seen the bits and pieces of the documentary, and from what I saw, it was excellent. So I need to go back.
It really was.
And finish. And actually, Tim DeLacy was the one that we were hanging out one day, and she was like, Sham, you have to see this. And she showed me like little clips from it. And I was like, man, this is
you
ill.
see their journey, you know, putting Staten Island on the map. Like it was well done. Very well done.
So Tim, did you know that the Versus was happening before it came on when you were hanging out?
I did not. Yeah.
So once it came on, y'all were locked in.
Oh yeah. Nice. Absolutely.
Nice. That's what's up. Have you had a chance to check out any other Versus?
I've seen a couple in the very beginning when they first started doing it. I'm trying to think. What was the first one I saw?
Maybe like Snoop DMX.
I didn't see the Snoop DMX one.
It was good. It was very good.
When Babyface and that one, who did?
Oh, Babyface and
Teddy Riley. Yeah, they had some glitches, but that was good. I'm drawing a blank on some of the names. The Jill Scott joint.
Oh, Jill Scott and Erykah Badu.
Oh man, yeah, that was nice. Yeah, so I don't, you know, when I see them on, I'll catch them, but those are the two that stuck out. And then of course last night, and I see that they have one coming up on Easter Sunday with Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire.
I didn't know that. What?
Yeah, so I put that in the calendar.
That's for real. That's
for real. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
I don't know if I ever told you this, and maybe you might have known this about me, but Earth, Wind and Fire is my favorite band in the history of bands. Like that's
what's up. You have mentioned that.
I'm gonna lose my mind on Easter Sunday. I have to be there.
Isley Brothers, like that is a heavyweight battle.
It is.
Yeah. Now, okay, not as heavyweight as that. So this is like anticlimactic, but I wanted to get your thoughts because this is something Sham and I talked about a couple weeks ago. There was a discussion about Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown having a versus. What are your thoughts? Is it viable? Look at this. So listeners can't see.
I would say no.
Why? Okay, can you give me your reasons?
To me, it's like really almost one and the same with the raunchiness, and that's just not really.
Oh, he went there.
I'm sorry. I just. It wouldn't be something I wouldn't put it in my calendar to like the, Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire, that's for sure. If I was at another, we had enough, cigar session around the fire pit and it was on, I would listen, but I'm not going to mark my calendar to be on there for that.
Okay. No problem. I think you made your thoughts plain.
I actually was saying I will probably mark my calendar for that to see if Foxy even shows up. So
yeah, Sham's position is that Foxy can't even like fill out the catalog. They're gonna have to change the rules because it's not enough songs. I think she could squeeze, and I say squeeze literally 20 songs in there.
Man, if you got to squeeze, you don't need to be there.
Nice. But yo, thank you for telling us about that Ozzy Brothers Earth, Wind and Fire.
You just broke some news for us.
Yeah, you broke some news for us.
I'm happy to contribute.
Yeah, that you talking about circling the calendar, like what?
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta put that in the calendar.
Yeah. And it's on 420?
No, 4.
4/4.
No, 4/4. Mm-hmm. Oh, stop. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, I'm trying to put some more stuff on it that don't even need to be put on it.
Use reaching.
Don't even need to be put on it. Well, listen.
Reaching out here.
Let's get into the fun stuff.
Okay.
Now, before we get into the fun stuff, let me remind folks midway through where they can find it. If you're listening and you've gotten this far, great. We love you. Keep it moving. Share it with a friend. You can go to www.stopplayinpodcast.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom. You can find all the podcast platforms we're available on. Choose your preferred app and click on any episode to get started. Most notably, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Remember, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel at the Stop Playing Podcast. Chop it up with us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Stop Playing Podcast and on Twitter at Stop_Playing_Pod. Now, we're going to get into some sports. But Tim, before we start getting into the meat of things, why don't you tell our listeners what you have going on now, some of the initiatives that you're doing, just so people can get to know you a little better.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, my main thing right now is really just trying to educate folks on health and wellness. That is really at the core of what I'm doing and representing, because I mean, a lack of education is really dangerous, you know, quite honestly. Like a lot of folks don't really understand that at the root of all ailments is inflammation. So I really educate folks on getting inflammation out of their body, making sure they have healthy digestive system, because 80% of our immune system is located in our gut. Again, things that we kind of take for granted. Gut health overall will represent your health. Teaching them things that help their blood flow, which is, again, helps your body heal, gives you more endurance, shorter recovery. So just really focusing on core health. The company I'm working with, we've just introduced a product that no one has. It's called muscadine seed oil. And the benefits and testimonies we've been getting on that, you're talking about ladies with eyebrows growing in, eyelashes growing longer, removing fine lines and wrinkles, turning, so what I like to do is just really educate folks, as far as what they do with the information, it's up to them. But, especially, not especially, but it's overall, like when you look at the statistics just from, the 1990s up to today, and you see that there's been a 300% increase in diabetes cases, a 41% increase in deaths from heart disease, a 4,200% increase in Alzheimer's. It's scary. It's scary. And a lot of that can be avoided, what I really try and get across to folks is that, and no disrespect to the medical profession or anything like that, but their goal isn't really to cure you, it's to treat you.
Yeah.
The money's not in the cure, it's in the treatment. That's where the residuals come in. If you're getting prescriptions every single month, guess what? But the unfortunate part of it is that one prescription typically will lead to several because of the side effects, and like, even with, people say, well, that runs in my family and things like that. Like, diabetes doesn't run in your family. It's not a genetic issue, really. It's a dietary issue.
Lifestyle. Yeah.
And then when, you get on a Moderna, now they're trying to pull, not Moderna. But the first medication they put you on basically has been linked to kidney failure, right? And then your kidneys start to go. Now you're on a medication for that is linked to heart failure. Like, it's just it's a sad process. And unfortunately for me, I've seen it firsthand, like I had told you, shocking, my brother passed away a little over a month ago. And just to see the road he went down, just started out with diabetes, was on metformin, then that led to kidney failure, had a kidney transplant, went to dialysis, had heart attacks. I mean, when he came down here, his best friend had passed, and, he was on, he said, how many pills do you have in your container? 18. Like, huh?
My goodness.
Transplanted kidney. So not to, go down that road, but that's the bottom line. And that's why I'm really passionate about, because I see so many family members, so many folks in the community with these underlying conditions where a lot of them are very easily reversible. Yeah, you got to change your lifestyle a little bit. But the bottom line is, last story, I was just talking to one of my friends with blood pressure issues, and he's like, I'm not going to put anything in my body. My doctor don't tell me. I was like, well, you should probably ask your doctor, in all due respect. How many people have you gotten off of the medication? Like, that should be your question. Like, you want to be on this the rest of your life, knowing the side effects, especially for men with blood pressure medication, something's going to give. And it's probably something that you don't want to give, So that's where I am. And like I said, really, really passionate about it and adamant, because, again, what we don't know will definitely hurt us. So,
absolutely.
Well, I am definitely in control of my inflammation. I take my ginger and turmeric every day.
Hey, there you go. You are on track, baby. You are on track. Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
And it's so great you were talking about that when we were talking about it earlier, the vaccine. However you feel about the vaccine, that's fine. But when you're talking about COVID, everything you're talking about is exasperated because the people who have these underlying health issues, primarily our people, are the ones who are falling by the wayside and passing away, right? More at a higher rate.
At a higher rate, absolutely.
Because of these underlying health issues that COVID exacerbates. So I think it's spectacular, the awareness that you're trying to get out there.
That's it.
And you're succeeding in getting out there, and good. Yeah, that's great, man. We need it. We need it.
We really do.
We need it, and we need to talk about it more. Just I love what you just said. When people say diabetes runs, no, it doesn't.
It does not.
Does not.
Nonsense. That's a lifestyle.
It is. It is. And the crazy part is, I think about this all the time. Like, I wonder if they ask everybody that question. When we go to the doctor, does your family have a history of blah, 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 blah? I wonder if everyone's asked that question. You know what I mean? Like, they're so quick to prescribe. Right.
I have noticed that when I go to the doctor, especially if it's a new place, they have like that form that you fill out, and they ask you on that form, like diabetes, heart disease, those things are all listed. And then they ask you who in your family has them.
Right.
And so you have to say, oh, my mother, my grandmother, or something like that. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh, goodness, because my dad has diabetes and he started on metformin. He's not on it anymore. He has switched medications. But to get that man to do anything outside of that it's a struggle.
It is. It is. It's, because, of course, we've been taught to trust the doctors and the process, et cetera. And I got, plenty of family members the same way. They will not switch what they're doing. Cool. All I can do is share with you the information.
Get the information.
I've done my part.
Lead the horse to water.
That's it. That's it.
Well,
all right.
Let's
get into this sports talk. It's funny we were talking about health and wellness and stuff, and apparently the NCAA thinks that only the men's basketball team needs to be concerned with that. They certainly didn't give the women's teams any type of gym to work out in. They ended up giving them like 12 dumbbells to share. Okay.
Yeah. That was horrible. Tell me, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's just it's been really brought to the forefront, the disparity in the treatment between the male athletes and the female athletes, and this is just another sad case of that. Like, like only we're talking about folks' lives. You know what I mean? you can't provide the same type of, you're not going to really get that bubble effect, but the same facilities for the women where they don't, they can minimize their exposure. It makes no sense. But at the end of the day, that everything, evolves around money, and they know, I don't know. I just feel like at the end of it, it's a bottom line. NCAA is a big business. So at the end of the day, they do feel like the men's games are most important, probably, to make it through the tournament, because it's like the revenues that it's going to generate versus the female, but it doesn't make it right. Like, they should have the same, at least, protection. Again, we're not talking about money, we're talking about humanity, like and caring equally for these student athletes. So there's a problem there.
Like, it's a gym. You couldn't give the ladies a gym space to work out. Like, you gave them dumbbells and said, have a nice day, and then put a sign on it that said women's workout area or whatever it said. Now, the good thing that has come out of this is that they've been put on Total Blast and the whole country has seen it. And there have been some fitness equipment providers that has donated. Like, they've been coming out of the woodwork saying, okay, we got this. But the flippant attitude about it, like the official or whoever was in charge of making sure they had the setup, was just like, oh, it was just an oversight. Huh?
Yeah.
An oversight?
Wow.
Yeah. And Tim, it was interesting what you were saying about like the revenue and all that stuff and like business decisions. We did a story a couple of years ago. So it had to be 2 tournaments ago now, where the tournament was going on. It was March Madness, but there was just a random off night for the men's tournament.
Okay.
And so the NCAA website, like official website, posted up, oh, too bad there's nothing to watch. Meanwhile, the women are playing and having a great game. And so you would think like on the forefront, and we, talked about it, but you would think on the forefront, you would say, okay, yeah, maybe it is because like, it's a business decision. It's like, no, your overt sexism like overtakes even your common sense and your business acumen. It really does. Could be advertising the women right now.
Yep. It was a perfect opportunity to be like, no men's games. Hey, we can watch the women. Like, no, they were just like, no, there's nothing else on.
Wow.
And went out of their way to put that on social media.
And tweeted it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the mindset you're battling against. Actually, didn't put this in, but I wanted to get both of your thoughts because this also ties into something we talked about. Tim, how often do you get a chance to see the Inside the NBA / the little Tuesday night basketball show with Shaq and Candace Parker, Dwayne Wade, and all that?
A few times.
Yeah. So you heard a couple of weeks ago when they had that whole kind of little discussion about pick and rolls and defense and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
I missed that one.
Yeah, well, just a quick little refresher. They were talking about pick and rolls, and Shaq was basically like, I don't understand why we have to do all these switches and this and that. People just need to D up, which in spirit we agree with, but he was just being real kind of whatever about it.
Right.
And so Candace Parker kind of like schooled him. Right. So that was a big thing. That was a couple weeks ago. Okay. Shaq's having a bad couple weeks. I don't know if either one of y'all heard about this, but this week on that same show, that show's starting to be a problem. He proposed that the NBA lower the rim by a foot, or no, I'm sorry, the WNBA lower the rim from 10 feet to 9 feet so that women could dunk. So I guess neither one of y'all heard about this?
No, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. So Cynthia Cooper clapped back the next night. It was like, I mean,
one of the greatest.
Yes, exactly. And she had been on the show before he said that, and then she left. So she was more offended that he even waited. So next night she said nobody told the NBA to bring the free throw line up a couple feet so Shaq could make free throws.
Oh, wow.
Bang. Bang.
And he probably still would have missed him.
Right. And he still would have missed him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back iron.
But I just thought it would be good to bring up because we talk about sexism and that type of thing. And look, Shaq wasn't, well, maybe he was trying to be overtly sexist, but it was like casually sexist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he thought he was saying a good thing. Like, oh yeah, you know, we could help him dunk. It's like, stop. Yeah, but that's kind of stuff. But yeah, Tim, check out that show. Do you like the Inside the NBA show?
Sometimes. I like the banter really with especially with Shaq and Barkley when
oh God,
for the most part
when Shaq tells him he don't have brains.
Yeah, exactly.
You like that?
I do.
That's his go-to every time.
It is. But you know, they go back and forth. I mean, I like the show. I think it's a pretty good balance. You know, when they're on there.
That's good. That's good.
I always kind of felt like they didn't need Shaq. I thought the show was great without him. I remember before that they had Chris Webber, and before that they used to bring Magic Johnson on a few times, but they never kind of stuck. But the show was always great before they even added Shaq.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know why he's stuck. I mean, because, you know, of course, he's not the most articulate guy, you know. And
well, neither is Chuck. So
yeah, he's not. But Shaq makes Chuck look pretty good, though, to be honest with you. He does. I'll be like, damn, I got to turn the volume up here. But yeah.
Mumble music with Shaq.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chuck, how many rings you got? I got 4 rings. How many you got?
Nice.
But yeah. Oh, sidebar about Cynthia Cooper, though. Like, 4-time WNBA champion. This woman is a whole legend that never gets spoken about, which irks my soul. Like when the WNBA started in 1996 or 97, when it started, that Houston team won 4 straight WNBA championships. She got 4 straight WNBA championship MVPs. And at that time, they were calling her like the female Jordan of the league. Like she was so good. Yeah. And I just think like she's just like nobody just even talks about her anymore. And I feel like she need to get her flowers now because she was everything. There was nothing on the court she couldn't do, probably besides dunk. But you know, she could make free throws.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. But yeah. Tim, check out that show. Definitely. Tim, you been following the tournament?
I've been mainly the highlights. You know, honestly, I made it my business to get home to catch Georgetown on Saturday and kind of lost interest after that game was over.
Oh, so sad.
I like seeing all the upsets. I always always been for the underdogs. And I think, you know, at this time, there's been more parity across the board. In the tournament than probably ever before. Like, you know, you see Illinois got knocked out today. They was a 1 seed. So I like that.
How happy were you?
Illinois was the 1 seed I was the most shaky about. I woke up this morning thinking that they were going to lose today.
Right.
So when it happened, I wasn't surprised. The other seed that I was really shaky about was Virginia as a 4 seed. Actually, I was shaky about any team in the ACC, to be honest. But like Syracuse, Florida State, they're still rolling. So
yeah.
Hey Tim, how happy were you when Georgetown won the Big East?
I was excited. I was extremely excited and happy, especially for Pat, you know, coming back home and, you know what I mean, reestablishing the culture. And, you know, what he went through, like, you know, that first year, and it's like, man, you know, some of the guys exited the team, and, you know, just I think it's a big shot in the arm for that program, hopefully, you know, moving forward.
Yo, I mean, just thinking about Big John, right? Like, you know, you're from DC, man. It's like, and then the way they won it, the way they were playing. Right. They were playing that tough guy, Georgetown basketball. Exactly. Get out the paint. I mean, so we're going to get to it. We're getting to it right now. You were an athlete, a professional athlete in the 90s. So, I mean, you know, and we'll talk about your sport. But I feel like in general, no matter what sport we're talking about, there was just a bigger toughness to it. And I didn't play the sports. You played it, but talk to me about that a little bit, even when you're watching other sports.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you watch the NBA today compared to the 90s, you know, when you see I mean, you know, they had the no layup rule. You know,
Right.
these jokers, you know, you bump somebody the wrong way. It's a flagrant nowadays. Like that wasn't even in existence back then. Now I get it. You're trying to protect your entity, which is your players, but at the same time, it's like the toughness level is just not the same. You know, some of these guys you see, they go down and there's all these antics and dramatics, and then they right back on the court. I'm like, really? You know, but it was definitely in that era, that 90s era, there was a lot more toughness. You know, my GOAT is always going to be Jordan as far as who I've seen because of what he had to go through. And the fact that he didn't try and bring in Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and be like, hey, let's do this thing. You know what I mean?
Draft work for him.
Thank you.
Right. And he had to go through that Pistons team.
That's
that
right.
Pistons they had to book the Jordan rules. Like, he come in the paint, he going to get dealt with.
And I like how he said he hit the weight room.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, man, they're going to punish me. I'm going to punish them.
Exactly. But he had everybody else in there with him, you know, and to me, that's the sign. And that's why, again, that's my opinion. But, you know, of course he had all the skills, but to me, it was the things you can't measure with the heart, the determination, and just that drive, you know, like, so. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Someone said,
even like football, like, you know, these quarterbacks now, you can't touch them. You know, back then, I mean, it was fair game. You get to the quarterback, you dumping them, body weight and everything on them. But now, you know, again, I get it. That's the product for the most part. You want to protect it, but man, it's Why
can't you touch the quarterback now, Shaka?
Hey, you know what? You go and get us a teaser, but let's cover some real quick NBA while Tim was talking about it.
Wait, Shaka. Why can't you touch the quarterback now?
Oh, the tuck rule. Forget it. Get out of my face. Hey, Tim, don't even get me started. I'm a Raiders fan. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
You're a guest on this podcast, and I'll treat you as such. Let's talk about the NBA. Okay. LeBron James has an ankle sprain, right? High ankle sprain?
High ankle sprain.
Yeah. Now, the last report I saw was out indefinitely. Okay, so that's, I mean, indefinitely is indefinitely, and he is getting older. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, but like what sealed his deal was the Achilles tear. Like when you get old and you get these injuries, you know, it is what it is. I mean, obviously he'll come back, but that will play a factor in the Lakers seeding and all that. How have you seen the NBA season play out in general? What are your thoughts? That's a big deal with the injury. How you think about the NBA post All-Star break down the stretch?
In the West, I feel like the Lakers are still going to be there. So far as his injury doesn't go past a couple of weeks, honestly. If it's a couple of months, then I don't know. I mean, they do have some talent, man. They, you know, when they won it last year, you know, they had some great role players. I mean, albeit Rondo is no longer there, but I felt like he led them down the stretch in some key moments. But I think, you know, we got to see if Kuzma can step up, you know, and some of the other guys. But it's they have, you know, to me, a group of role players that they don't really care about the stat line, that if they can play together and play tough defense, they can sustain until him and AD get back. But if they don't come back, they might be on the outside looking in, because they like I think they're third.
I think they're
third right now, but only 3 games from 6. It's not a big not a big gap there. So you know, one of I wish Dame could get some help in Portland, man. I love watching that brother go. He
Dame Dollar.
Yeah, Dame Dollar. Another guy, whole lot of heart, just excellent game.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just so it's up for grabs, which is what you want, you know, at the end of the day.
All day.
Utah, they've been on their run. But you know, when Denver they get going with the big joker in there, I mean, they can, you know, they can do some things.
You ever seen an athlete like Joker, man?
No.
It's like he moves in slow motion. It's like, why is he good? But he's good.
He's so effective. It's like he don't waste no movements, that's for sure. But he's so effective, inside, outside. And then on the East, you know, I mean, of course, the Nets are now favorite. And initially, I didn't really like that move, bringing Harden in.
We had very strong feelings about that as well.
I didn't like that move because, prior to and even when KD was missing games, you could see, again, their role players that second unit was mean. Philly, if I'm pulling for anybody in the East, if the Wizards don't make it in, then it would be Philly. Of course, I'm I love Doc Rivers and what he represents. But honestly, I think, I feel like it's probably going to be the Nets, especially if they get everyone healthy. I mean,
so what are your thoughts on Milwaukee and Giannis?
I just don't think they have enough support. Yeah, I don't think they have enough support. I like Giannis. I mean, he's that guy, but to me, when you get to really the playoffs and down the stretch, it's about that second unit. Like, even as good as Golden State was in their run, that second unit, when they came in, they created the biggest gap. You know what I mean? You had Iguodala coming off the bench. Come on, man. You had Livingston coming off the bench. They was defending, getting buckets, efficient. And then
Harrison Barnes, So
you got to have that good second unit, because
it needs to be seamless.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Okay.
The interesting thing about Philadelphia, and they're top of the conference right now. It's that Doc Rivers thing that whenever he goes to a new team, he comes out, they go out guns a-blazing. Like they're like that first year he's there, they play great. It's just that when they get to the playoffs, and I think, that's kind of Doc's Achilles heel. Just kind of having a good playoff stretch and actually making it to the end. And that's going to be like the telltale sign of how good their season is going to be. I mean, he did it in Boston, but like in Orlando and then in LA, and now, with Philly, it's going to be like, is he going to be able to get them over the hump to the promised land?
Yeah, Doc gonna give you that bump, to your point. He'll give you that initial bump. Yeah, we'll see.
But to me, and that's the thing, like, I was really disappointed. Not in Doc last season. I was disappointed in Kawhi and Paul George.
Oh, absolutely.
You up 3-1, and now, you lose the series, and George, you talking about I'm going to leave, or, these things ain't working, we don't have chemistry. Like, come on, man, did you show up?
And
Tim, he didn't, and that was my thing with, like, even when KD went to Golden State, like, y'all was up 3-1 on them peoples.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you turned the ball over like, it was a hot potato the last quarter of game 6 and 7.
Yes.
Come on, man. Had you dug deep, let your hairs on your back, Bo, y'all would be the champions, because they had a mob. I just can't stand, like, Doc, his track record is just like you said. They come out guns blazing, playoffs. That's why I don't get too excited about Philly having the best record in the East, because I know it's the playoffs. But at the same time, when you got 2 max player contracts, guys that don't show up, I don't care how good of a coach you are, chances are you're going home. So the players got to play, and they got to play to their value.
Correct.
And that didn't happen.
Got to come through in the clutch.
Got to.
I think a lot of it, especially with Kawhi, I felt like he kind of took for granted that he is who he is, because it worked in Toronto and it worked in San Antonio. It didn't work in LA, and you didn't have the same type of support. Like, you didn't have grinders. They didn't have grinders in LA like they had in Toronto. That team was full of grinders. They wanted to win. And then you got the self-proclaimed playoff P, who, where were you in the playoffs, sir? You calling yourself playoff P? Somebody who, what did Reese call him? Pandemic P? Like,
Pandemic P, yeah.
Like, where were you? So, I don't even see the Clippers being anything this year either.
Yeah, and Tim, to your point, what we were talking about with Kawhi too last year, taking load management on game 4. Like, Tim, you played in the 90s, man. Like,
no one heard of load management in the 90s.
Nobody.
Like,
Are they playing more games? It's the same 83 game season.
It's the same amount of games.
That's what you can.
You need a day off on game 4. Like, you're setting a bad precedent going into the season already. Like, what are we talking about? And so all that, and they say he was doing that with practice too. Yeah. So it's like, come on, man.
The whole point of the load management was to get to the playoffs so you could play through, not get to the playoffs and then take a day off. Like, what are you doing?
And come up short. If you're going to come up short, what you take the day off for?
Right.
Stop playing.
Yeah. Stop playing. For real.
It's unheard of. Like, and that's, I respect LeBron so much because honestly, he's been grinding his whole career. It was several times. I mean, he could have shut it down. They already secured the first seed, but he played through, And I think that's a big time respect to the fans. Could you imagine you going to see your favorite NBA player and he's taking a night off?
Yeah, I will say
that. Wasted the trip and money and all of this. I'm
about to say LeBron big go see that though. He's fell in that trap, Tim.
Yeah, I know. He's succumbed to the low management philosophy.
Yes,
he was resisting it for a minute. I feel like he was the last to resist it.
I felt like when he felt like he had something to prove, he didn't do that. But now that he's like, I'm King James, I don't have nothing else to prove. I'm doing this low management thing. I'm taking nights off.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. Yes. I just can't imagine.
Well, Tim, let's get to the sport that we want to get to, which you could talk to in detail.
Okay.
Man.
How so? Did he play football or something in the NFL?
I think he dabbled. I think he dabbled a little bit.
A little bit.
Pop one and then gave it up. Man, you had quite a story, and you have the type of story that I'm the most interested in. I'll airmail this and say part of the reason why I think shows like Hard Knocks have gotten all this traction and have lasted for 20 plus seasons is because people like me who can't even imagine what it's like to be in the NFL or whatever, at least that's the closest we're going to get to, okay, what's the day-to-day life like for not the high profile guys, but the guys who are still good enough to get in the league and that. So have you on the show. I'll say, I told you this from day one. You can talk about whatever you want, but like, I kind of want you to talk about that, please. That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're in NFL free agency. So Tim, if you don't mind, however you want to do it, talk to us about your love for football, your plan of the game, and then, the draft process and all that. And then we can go from there. But this will be around pre-draft time, what we're talking about right now.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I mean, the first time I touched the football, I fell in love with the game. It was really that simple. It was, coming through, it was nothing I'd rather do than play football, honestly. And that lasted pretty much until my career ended. So for me, I didn't get a lot of exposure, in high school. Matter of fact, University of Delaware was the only school to offer me a scholarship.
Go Blue Hens.
Go Blue Hens. And that's one of the things I always talk to the youth about is like, you never know who's watching, but somebody always is. And my senior year, we're playing friendly, and we were going back and forth, and it was a game to determine who was going to the playoffs. And, I was an option quarterback and safety. And, I went for like 190 on the ground. My boy, Robert Green, who went on to play with the Redskins and the Bears, he went for like 150. We going back and forth. Time ran out on us on the 3-yard line and lost 29-26. And as we're going through the line, Coach Crawford, may rest in paradise, he pulled me aside and he said, "You're one of the best athletes I've ever seen to come through this county." And he said, "Anybody that comes here, I'm going to make sure I tell them about you." And that's how I ended up at Delaware. Nice. Because I wasn't getting letters or anything like that. I'm talking about my senior year. And so then fast forward to Delaware. I go in as an athlete. Most of us go in as athletes.
And just can we talk about what year this was?
So this was 88. Well, the 87 football season, high school, graduated 88.
Yep. Cool.
And
wait, where did you go to high school?
Eleanor Roosevelt.
I saw that.
Oh, goodness. I have some memories about.
I know.
And I have a few people I know went to Roosevelt too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so get to Delaware, and when you go in, it's like, what position do you want to play? We're looking at you as an athlete. And I said, either safety or corner. And, of course, they try us at running back, receiver. We was playing a little bit of everything. And I said, listen, I'd rather hit people than score touchdowns. Like, I love defense. Like, I'm not a guy, I'm not flashy. I don't need the fanfare. I don't need to score the touchdowns. Like, that's never been my mindset, and I know that defense, that corner position is the most challenging on the field from a physical standpoint. And then add to that, my dad's 5'8", my mom's 5'2". If I'm going to make it to the next level, it's going to be as a corner because I knew, I was going to be limited vertically.
That growth spurt was going to stop.
Yeah, it was going to stop. So, getting the first training camp, and I'm really lost. I didn't know how much I didn't know. Especially on the defensive side. A coach, he's getting on me one time. He's like, you got to read 2-1. You got to read 2-1. And I was like, okay. And they beat me deep in my third, like 3 straight times. And he's going off. And I said, finally, what is 2-1? And then he explained, and I was good. But I was about the
what is 2? What is 2?
Okay, so 2-1 is as a corner. As a corner playing in the cover 3, most teams play cover 3 deep third for the corner, outside third. If it's 2 receivers to your side, you got to see both.
Okay.
The wide is the 1, and then the slot is the 2. If it's a tight end, he's the 2. So you got to see what 2 is doing before you determine how you play your zone.
It is.
Basically, if they're going vertical, you got to stay back and then call out what the wide is doing to your linebacker. I didn't get that. My wide ran a curl. I'm jumping a curl, and they're running something behind me in my zone like 3 straight times. And he was like, I had no idea.
So you were playing man in your head.
Pretty much. Right.
Hey, Tim, by the way, this little exchange, you're going to have me screaming, play 2-1 on TV every Sunday. Because then once I get a little piece of football information, I'm now.
He's an expert.
Don Schuler.
He can be a corner now. I'm
Bill Parcells. Yeah.
So I was like, so once I got that, I was good. And then, so going into the season, I was about the 5th corner on the depth charts, honestly. And first game, we play a spread team. They're running 5 receivers, so we needed extra defensive backs. Starting corner blows his Achilles.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, blows his ACL. First game.
Wow.
Yeah. So we start rotating who's going to be next up. Next game, coach, it's between me and another guy from DC, Daryl Williams, because the guy who was also in front of us that practice week, high ankle sprain. So 2 unfortunate incidents for players. And so it's down to me and Daryl and Coach Tubby Raymond. He's like, we're going to go with Jacobs. And I never looked back. I started 47 straight games, from that point. But the message, again, for the youngsters is stay ready.
Always be ready when that number is called.
Always.
And with football, it's not if, it's when you're going to get hurt.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
It's guaranteed. You're going to get hurt playing football.
Yep.
There's no way around it. No one's ever walked out of this game unscathed that played contact for any period of time. So, and also when you get that opportunity, you better be prepared to take advantage of it. And that was always my thing. I was, I tell folks I wasn't the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, but I was the hardest working. I wasn't going to make mental mistakes. Once I got past that 2-1 situation, I was good because I'll be that guy that's in the film room. I pay attention to tendencies and all of that good stuff. And I used that in the game. And that was the big part of, me playing quarterback, because I knew what everybody on the defense also had to do. Fast forward, I'm thinking I'm going to get drafted. I had a great workout for the teams that I worked out for with, it was Cleveland, Miami, the Colts, the Lions, the Washington Redskins at the time that came and worked me out. And I feel like I had great workouts. I'm 4.39, 4.4 flat, great vertical jump, broad jump, all of that.
Fast.
Like,
you went to the combine and all that?
I did not get invited to the combine.
I
did not.
Okay.
I was disappointed, of course. But I had those individual workouts that I felt like I had, especially when I came down to University of Maryland to work out for the Redskins. Like that was my team growing up, like die hard. And man, that was probably my best workout. It was like early March, cold as I don't know what outside, but had a great workout. I really thought they ended up drafting Tom Carter. It's okay. I didn't get drafted.
So you go ahead, Sam, because I want this is the part I want to get granular in as well.
So the night that they do the draft, or however they do the draft back then, they call you and tell you, hey, they invite you to come to the draft or whatever. And then the ones that they didn't, I guess you're all just kind of like sitting at home watching. Now that night when you were watching the draft or whatever that looked like, in your mind, did you go through that knowing that you might not be drafted, or were you still hopeful that someone would draft you?
It was a combination because Cleveland said they probably get me in mid rounds. Detroit, same thing, and the call never came. So I was hopeful, but like not naively hopeful. Like had they not told me anything, then I'd be like, I'm not going to get drafted. But because they expressed that, I'm like, okay, this is going down, and it didn't. So when I had to choose, I had some options of choosing as an undrafted free agent. I chose Cleveland because they had, some older coaches at the time, and I know like Bill Belichick, he was a big cover 2 guy, or and so I chose Cleveland. And
so before we go there, and I'm sorry, but it's just like, man, I just want to jump into everything. So okay, here's a couple questions. Number one, so you don't get invited to the combine. You're disappointed.
Correct.
So already you're kind of level setting, like to Sham's point, like, okay, if I'm not invited to the combine, there's a chance of a good one, just as good as not, that I might not play in the NFL or whatever. But whatever. But in your mind, you're thinking like, okay, I ain't get invited to the combine, but I'm working out. Can you take us through at least a little bit like that process of making arrangements to work out with teams and like what that's like and how that flows? Like, I mean, you were talking about even working out for the Redskins. You're from here. Like all the extra emotions go into that. Like, what is that like when okay, my chances, these are job interviews. This is like every other college.
Absolutely.
Student going on their job interviews, but like, this is your life. Like, how is that like few weeks like?
It was just really busy. Like, so like with Cleveland and Detroit, they came to Delaware as well as Indy and Miami. With the Redskins, they had reached out to my agent, said they wanted to work me out with the guys from Maryland that was, prospects for the next level as well. So it was really just making sure that I was doing my part and staying in tip-top shape. And once, like, Cleveland actually came to work me out twice. And so it's just really, class workout. And then, for the folks that come in, they just work me out in the arena, the basketball gymnasium. And then with Washington, that was outside. So it's really, if you start to let doubt seep in, it probably wouldn't have happened, honestly. I never really let doubt seep in. I felt like if I had my chance, they're going to see.
That's great.
And, and the thing of it is like, again, physically, like my numbers across the board, as far as corners in the combine out of that draft class, I was top 3 of all corners, of all corners. But Delaware is not a football powerhouse. Right. Right. So like, even when I worked out for the Redskins, Emmett Thomas, who was the defensive coordinator, he was like, what makes you think you can play on this level? Like, y'all don't play top receivers week in, week out. And I wasn't arrogant or cocky, but I said, I know I can play on this level because 1, I have the physical tools, but 2, I have everything you can't measure. Heart, determination, the will to compete. I said, no receiver in my entire 47 games starting in college can say I won that battle against Tim Jacobs. Not one. So all I can play is the people who show up in front of me, right? But not one of them to this day can say, yeah, I got him. No, nah.
Tim,
not if
Tim,
you
are a true corner, man. I mean, that's how a corner talks.
Hey,
one quick note. Delaware, that's where Rich Gannon went, correct?
Exactly. Yes. And Joe Flacco.
And Joe Flacco.
Yeah, but I ain't worried about Joe Flacco. I'm worried about Rich Gannon. That's my Raider. That's the last Raider. Do you know Rich?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah, we met because we do the golf outings. He was leaving when I was coming in.
I was about to say, right.
Yeah. He's a little bit ahead of me. But
that's awesome.
Great dude, definitely.
Took my boys to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, second question. Tuckroll. Second question I had, and it was some poignant that you said, and I apologize because I'll let you keep going.
No, you good.
You were talking about how the teams were telling you, hey, we're going to draft you.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were talking to Ray Rice about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew he was getting drafted at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know, but I just, even when he said it and now that you're saying it, why do they tell y'all that? Like, why? Like, why? Why even promise that if you're not going to do it? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's really part of the gamesmanship in recruiting. Like, they're constantly staying in touch, even throughout the draft. It's like, we might get you. We're going to try and get you. And I think it's kind of just trying to show that they are interested, even though they didn't think you were worth the draft pick, so that they would be on the front of your mind when you thought about the teams you were going, try out for as an undrafted free agent. And I think, and in retrospect, I guess it worked because Cleveland, was in the most contact, and I ended up going there. It was a trip though. They drafted a guy that couldn't even play, 7th round.
But he went to a better school, right? So that's
exactly out of Nebraska. He had a torn ACL coming in. They knew he was going to be on IR. But the great part is, it's funny because one of my best friends to this day, when I went up to sign my contract, he and his dad, Wally Williams, who played with Cleveland, the Ravens, long career, great offensive lineman. So he's walking out of the GM office. I'm going in to sign my contract, and and it was me, him, Orlando Brown. We were all, undrafted free agents. Rest in paradise. Absolutely. Our guys. And so, we was, the underdogs, both of them from HBCUs, and I'm from University of Delaware, 1AA schools at the time. And all became really solid contributors. Both of them became starters. I backed up both corners, played, nickel, and then had a couple of starts in my career there. But so once you get in, it's like, man, it's a business, and that was somewhat of a shocker. I mean, I knew it was a business, but I thought when you get to that level, the best players are going to play.
No politics involved.
No politics. Teams want to win. They're going to play the best. Not so fast. They had very little invested in me, right? So here's how it works. Like when a team drafts a player in the first round, they get every opportunity, right? When you don't get drafted and there's a minimum investment, you get very few opportunities. So your margin for error is, I've seen so many guys, it's just come in and you out right away. But I was just, I was just grinding, man. I was just same mindset. Again, never arrogant, but I just feel like I'm going to compete, and if I'm going to push. Yeah.
I mean, you know what you can do on the field. Like, and to me, that's confidence, especially coming from where you come from. Like, arrogant to me would have been if you would have come out of Penn State and you were telling her, you know what I'm saying? Telling everybody, shoot, I'm the best corner. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there was a level of humility to what you were saying, but at the same time, it's like, look, this is what I can offer, know? Yeah. I want to know what that looked like. Okay, so draft night happened. You didn't get drafted. How soon do those phone calls start coming in for the undrafted free agents after that draft happens? Like, what does that look like in that time span?
Right away.
Like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. Because most teams right after the draft, within a week or two, they're going to have a rookie camp or rookie, mini camp. And so they want all of their draft picks as well as, the undrafted free agents, coming in for that. So that was like right away. And I think it was, about a 2-week period, when we went up for rookie camp, got our physicals and all that kind of stuff. So it was like a mini camp. Mm-hmm. So it's like right away.
Oh, wow.
And back then, draft day was a Saturday afternoon, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe? No?
I feel like the first round was it? I feel like it was a Thursday.
Oh, okay. So okay, yeah, because I thought they had just started doing that. Maybe they.
No, I feel like the first round was Thursday, then Friday, and then Saturday.
Okay,
Sunday,
you would know.
Yeah, because the number of draftees wouldn't have changed except for there are more teams now. So, but the rounds were still the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So to Sham's point, I like where this is going. So you go up, you go to camp, and then Cleveland. So Cleveland was in your mind. Mm-hmm. You like the vibe, what they told you, whatever. Right. So how does that work out? Like, how does an undrafted free agent who has a connection with the team end up landing on that team?
Oh, well, they'll call you and, invite you to, the rookie camp, the rookie mini camp.
And then you went to the camp.
Okay. And then I went to the camp. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are the politics that we're talking about? If, you've gone into it a little bit, like, okay, some guys get a lot of chances and like whatever, and you're outplaying them, but you managed to stay on the roster. But I guess my question is 2 parts. Number one, how are you treated by the team? And number 2, more importantly, actually, how are you treated by the other players, especially the ones that are drafted, right? Mm-hmm. So like, are they coming at you like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, I know I'm making it. Like, this dude ain't gonna make it, whatever. Like, especially the receivers or the other corners or whatever. Because receivers and corners, I mean, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, matter of fact, you tell me. Are y'all like how y'all look?
Pretty much. But, there's no type of disrespect from player to player, like.
All in it together.
Yeah, when I went to Cleveland, it was like Michael Dean Perry was the big name, Vinny Testaverde, those guys, Eric Turner, rest in peace, was Pepper Johnson, those guys, and they all treated us like family. Honestly, that's kind of like a brotherhood, the football fraternity. So that was great. That was great experience from that standpoint. The politics come into play because of so many times you see on the inside a player outperforming a player that they weren't supposed to, right? So when you draft, again, if you draft a first rounder, but then you got this guy who's a free agent, that first rounder, I mean, he's going to have to damn near break something for that undrafted guy to play ahead of him, right? And I've seen it, at all positions. So that's the politics business side of it, because it's twofold. One, you got a whole lot more money invested, in this first rounder. And then 2, your scouting staff, they don't want to look bad. Like, who the hell drafted this guy, in the first round?
We could have got,
Right. So it's ego and money that goes into those situations. Again, you see, and that's why, like, guys like Pete Carroll, I have so much respect for. Remember when they gave Flynn all of that money to come from Green Bay, right? And then Russell Wilson coming in as a mid-round pick and outperforming, he was like, Flynn, you got to go.
Yeah,
He gave you 30-something million, but
don't matter.
He's going to give us the best chance to win. I respect so much coaches that have that.
And the players immediately flock to that and respond to that when they see it on the team.
And it puts everybody on cue. Like, man, we got to keep balling, because sometimes folks get those starting positions, get a little complacent and whatever, but it's like, so that was that journey. And, loved every minute of it. Like I said, just loved every aspect of football. I've been blessed, man, to play with some great players, play for some great coaches, the Belichick and Nick Saban was my defensive coordinator, defensive back coach when I was in Cleveland. And then when I went to Miami, it was Jimmy Johnson was the coach. So, it's like
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been,
okay. Listen,
let me ask you this. So when you got to Cleveland, Primarily, Vinny Testaverde was a quarterback for your time in Cleveland. Did you play? Was Bernie Kosar still starting when you got there, or was it?
He was like my rookie year. He was still there, and then he became the starter.
Vinny was around for a minute.
Yes, he was.
He was.
Yes, he was.
He was.
Coach wise, talk to me about all the coaches you just named. Bill Belichick. You got a Belichick? So, can we get a quick story?
Billy B, also from the DMV.
And, like honestly, I'm gonna tell you this right now, so you could measure it on your mind. Billy B, Nick Saban, and Jimmy Johnson. But I'm more interested in Billy B and Jimmy Johnson than Nick Saban.
Okay. So Bill, he's black and white. He's very monotone, all throughout. And he wasn't as much of a locker room guy as Jimmy Johnson. It was like they almost had opposite personalities. Like Jimmy would, hey, how you doing today, Tim? How's the family? How's the wife? How's the children? That sort of thing.
So Jimmy knows his people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it's just really different management styles. Like Bill is real, super cerebral, but not necessarily at that point. I think he's really evolved his coaching career, where he has a lot more of that now. But at that point, that wasn't really existent.
He was running like a corporation back then.
Yeah, he was a lot younger too. Yeah, he didn't have a cachet. Yeah.
But when you're talking about X's and O's and genius, it's like he's a genius.
Nice.
Like, we had right before Cleveland moved to Baltimore, that last season, our defensive coordinator at the time had a nervous breakdown. He was also the defensive back coach. So we were scrimmaging the Bears in Wisconsin. And so he was sent back to Cleveland for recovery. So Bill had to coach the defense and the secondary. And when he came into that defensive back meeting, I was just like blown away in awe. Like, this guy is really a genius. Just so meticulous, everything that he explains. I mean, it's like you completely understand it. Never any type of, I guess, panic or concern. Like, he's so prepared. He's like, there's nothing that anybody can show me that we can't adjust to.
That's awesome.
That was kind of his MO, still is. Like,
and that's been proven over his coaching career.
He's the go-to coaches.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was a defensive coordinator too before he was the Browns head coach. So that he definitely still had that fiber in him. To be able to take over that way.
Absolutely. And now, like, he can go coach the quarterbacks. I mean, he can coach anything. Right. Then Jimmy was really more of a rah-rah, people.
As a family. I love that.
Yeah. And it's cool because at the end of the day, you want to know that, you feel like it's more personal when they care about you, so he had that element. And Nick was right in between both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick was definitely, absolutely. So
let me ask you a question. Do you watch Hard Knocks?
I haven't watched it in a while.
But you've seen it?
I've seen it. Yeah, I think the Bengals might have been the last team.
That's the last one I watched.
The one with Marvin Lewis?
Yeah.
Well, of course, yeah. Actually, if it's Bengals, it probably was him.
The one where Chad Johnson was still on the team. That's the last one I watched.
Yeah, so we're talking about maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
And I think Roy Williams was on the team playing defense. Yes. And he got like yoked because he didn't know the Oklahoma defense. And it was like, you went to Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's like
right.
So Tim, let me ask you this: as a layman, I'm a layman. How do you feel that a show like Hard Knocks, which is purported to try to give the experience of, or let the viewer know the experience of guys in the NFL preparing for camp, especially either undrafted guys or guys on the bubble or whatever you want to call it? Do you feel like it gives like a good portrayal of life in training camp and stuff like that?
Yeah, from what I've seen, like I said, that was the last one. I think it gave a really good, inclination of what goes on a little bit behind the scenes. So I thought they did a good job of, portraying life, especially during training camp of an NFL player.
how you think they portray those cut meetings? Like, when, God brings you in and all that.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, security, bring your playbook, and that's real.
Coach, that's the security walk you out, though.
Yeah,
Coach needs to see you. Coach needs to see you. Bring your playbook
out on their way out. Like, you never know. Don't want to square up with the coach after that news. Like, nah. So
Coach needs to see you and bring the playbook, huh?
Pretty much.
You don't need that no more.
Right. That's what it is.
So, I mean, and look, I know we dived a lot, but the free agency period. So you talked about being drafted. You talked about being in Cleveland. Gave us great stories about the coaches. Talk about in general. Okay, so you made the team. You're playing on the team. You played in games. Picked off Drew Bledsoe. Good. I'm with that. I'm with that. Yeah, I hate the Patriots. I mean, they robbed us. He wasn't part. He was on the team, but anyway. So talk about like in the NFL once you're in it, but you're in a free agency period. Maybe moving from team to team and kind of this time of year where laymen like me and fans are like, oh, somebody picked up somebody. And we treat it like it's fantasy football to us.
Right.
But this is your life.
It is.
So talk to us about that and like what this feels like once you're in the league and this is your profession.
Yeah. So for 95 to 97% of the guys in the league, it's really day to day, year to year. Like it's always a revolving door. If you can see how many guys come in to a training camp, especially back then, I don't know if they have the same number now. And it was just, constant movement. So, again, I say 95 to 97% because those other 3% that have, the guaranteed and the max, they're pretty secure for the most part, unless they just do something really foolish. But everyone else is like, you realize you can be replaced. Like even when the season hit, like I never got to the point like, whew, I'm good now. Nah,
wow. Yeah.
They're bringing guys in to work out every single day, even during the season, and your position as well as others. So, it's very, when they say the average career is like 3 years. So that's a clue also. So, but once I left Cleveland, it was really between Detroit, Miami, and Tampa, who I was going to sign with, and I went with Miami. But it was the same scenario, a little bit, decent on a signing bonus or whatever, but it was still guys in every day. Working out. So you just had to, you got to stay on your grind. You got to, like I said, folks, you really, in a lot of cases, one injury away.
Just guys just coming in every day, just waiting to take your job.
Yeah.
And they're putting it in your face, letting you know. Yeah. So it keep you on your toes. It keep you on your grind. Make sure you cherish it. That's what I tell folks. You gotta cherish it because it's not many guarantees. Like I said, the only guarantee is that you will get hurt playing this game. So that's about the only guarantee. Man, that's heavy, but it's true though.
It is.
So look, as we wind down, talk to us about. I mean, clearly you watch football now. You love the game, like you said. What are your thoughts about the game now? As it was in comparison to how it wasn't, and we talked about 90s sports, but you were talking about basketball, talk about football, talk about like how you think the game is now and then, and your comparisons is just what you think as an observer now.
In a nutshell, back then, 2-a-days lasted a whole lot longer. Training camp, now they don't even do back-to-back 2-a-days.
I'm about to say,
if they do, it's going to be like one fully padded, the next with shorts and jerseys. Like, and I, even going through this pandemic situation with COVID and teams jumping right into training camp and then ultimately the games with no preseason games, I've been saying it's going to cause more injuries than anything because your body has to be conditioned to play this sport. Like you have to go through the rigors. There's really no shortcut. Yeah, you're going to expose yourself, if you look at it from that angle, to more injuries, but at the same time, you have to get your body prepared. It's nothing like game speed. You can't simulate that anywhere. You can't go to the gym, the field, nowhere except in games and in scrimmages with full pads. So, and I get it. I see both sides. It's like they think, that this is going to preserve the players and extend their careers and keep them fresher. But at the end of the day, it's going to increase the injuries because the bodies are not conditioned. It's a gladiator sport, period. Awesome. So as far as the talent level, guys are bigger, stronger, faster. Period. It's like probably on average, at least every team has like that 6'4" receiver that can run like a gazelle. You know what I mean? Jump out the gym, all of that. The linemen are running 4.5s. It's crazy. So the it's a bigger, stronger, faster game. But at the end of the day, and it's still very physical. It's still very tough. It's like they're doing everything they can to please the fans that want to see the offense, score points. I think it's very, it's geared towards the offense with a lot of these tic-tac pass interference calls. Again, you breathe too hard on the quarterback. That's a personal foul. And it's it's tough. But, I mean, when I watch it, I only really watch maybe a few games a season.
Really?
Yeah. You see my backdrop. I'd rather spend 3 hours on the golf course than 3 hours watching somebody play football. You
hit the links on Sunday.
Yeah, I go there. That's what I'd rather do. Like, some guys, they still gear their schedule around the games. That hasn't been me.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
I'll watch, when it gets to the playoffs, if it's like a marquee matchup, I just like to see good quality football. And I tell everybody, one of the organizations that I have a lot of respect for, always have, is Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, since I've been watching football from the 70s all the way up to now, they play a certain style. I mean, just hard-nosed. I mean, granted, they pass the ball more, but they've always been a physical team. I mean, you're talking about, really, 4 decades now. And so, I like to watch teams like that. Of course, I like to watch Kansas City. They're definitely entertaining. Mahomes is something special.
I mean, that's fine.
This world.
That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that's fine. Keep going, Tim.
I know. I'm sorry. That's your division, bro. I'm sorry. My bad, bro. My bad.
No, you're good.
I apologize to him.
You're the guest.
But no, I mean, I just like to see good quality games. I like what they're doing in Cleveland right now. That two-headed monster in the backfield. I mean, I just, it's certain games that I like to watch. But outside, it's a handful during the season, then I will watch, the playoffs and ultimately the season.
That's interesting. Look, corner is my favorite position. I'm sorry, Shane, I was just saying this. Corner is my favorite position. Charles Woodson is my favorite player in the league at this point. But I was going to ask a question. I'll let Sham answer first.
Well, he was talking about he likes what's going on in Cleveland right now. And, my position has been that they're better without Odell Beckham Jr. But I mean, I don't expect you to feel that way, but I'm just wondering, like, is it a coincidence that they were that much better when he got injured though?
Yeah, I think it was a coincidence. I don't think I mean,
no addition by subtraction.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with coincidence, because, when he got hurt, of course, everyone else had to, step up a little bit. And Baker couldn't just rely on throwing the ball to him in triple coverage. He had to start learning to go through his reasonable progressions. But at the end of the day, that running game took a whole lot of pressure off of Baker. Not only Odell not being there, but, I mean, that dynamic duo in the backfield really because when you got a defender run, it just opens up the pass, so that would make Baker's game a whole lot simpler because now you got the play action where you're pulling the linebackers up, and it's going to be a lot of easy, high percentage completion throws. And then the defense is just, they swarming. So that's why I say I like to see teams where, everybody flying to the ball, and, I like to see teams that win in the trenches. Yeah.
Nice. I mean,
I was looking for a hot take. I didn't get it.
Yeah, it was a nice take. It was a nice take.
Oh, my bad.
I'm so mad about the Kansas City thing.
I was trying to be messy.
I mean,
how can you not like watching Mahomes though?
It's disgusting.
How?
No, but I respect him. I've said it. I respect him in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean that guy. He's the best in the business right now.
Okay. You know what? We don't even got time for this show. He does make horrible mistakes. He has great arm talent and good coaching. Good coaching, right?
And good mobility.
Decent mobility. Super Bowl. Yeah, it's Super Bowl.
Oh, he was good in the Super Bowl.
I mean,
I'm just saying. Okay.
The Toto.
But did you see him throw the ball? I mean, parallel to the ground and hit the guy in the face mask.
I said arm.
I mean, rolling left, hit the other guy in the face mask. Like they catch those balls. It's a different game.
What's his decision making?
What is he like? 25?
He was running for his life with 2 tackles out of the game.
Oh, okay, so we're making excuses.
No,
no problem. You're our guest. They blitzed one time. He was pressured 29 times with one blitz, bro. That offensive line, he was running for his life. Tim Jacobs / everything else / Patrick Rowe's lawyer. Apparently. You make a great case.
I just give credit where it's due.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna get them this year, Tim. Don't worry about it. Then we'll have you. And then we'll have you on after that.
I'm a Raiders fan. I'm hoping y'all get them.
And then we're gonna have you on after that. Yeah, we're gonna break down the game.
Yeah, I don't have no loyal. That's not my team. I just
I know it's not. Nah, you good. Yeah. Who is your team? Do you have a team?
I like to call myself a football orphan.
Oh, wait, you don't root for the Washington team still? That was the team.
I do not.
He said, "I do not."
I just couldn't keep overlooking certain things, and
even with the recent changes.
Yeah,
I feel the same way.
They got to keep going in that direction to even get you to thinking about it.
I mean, I'm not rooting against them. If they do well, great for them. But I'm like, I'm not going to go out and buy, burgundy and gold and be like, that's my team.
I got you. Hey,
I thought them bringing Rivera in was a good start because, his whole philosophy is win in the trenches. You're going to get a good defensive line. You're going to get a solid running game. You're going to be competitive. But some of the other antics and then some of the political views that just, like if that's your stance, like for me, if you're coaching a team and that you voicing your views could cause a divide, you probably shouldn't voice them, right? First off and foremost. But again, like I said, the way that they've done the quarterbacks over the years, I mean, Haskins brought a lot of this on himself. Absolutely. No question about that. But I'm going all the way, RG3, Donovan McNabb, Jason Campbell, hell, Doug Williams. Like, come on, man.
So many.
Even the kid Josh Johnson, he came in off the street the same week, played better than any quarterback had on that roster the whole season. You don't bring him back for training camp and give him a legitimate shot? Like, come on, man. But then, this guy coming and play one great game in the playoffs, supposed great game, and you give him this big contract. For a guy who's unproven, it's a big contract off the streets.
Oh yeah, Taylor Heineke.
I can't support it.
So no burgundy and black for you in the future anytime soon.
No. Love Chase Young. He's gonna be. I love that. That front line. They're gonna have some good teams down the road, but I will not be wearing burgundy and gold at all.
I hear that.
Shout out to Jim Zorn for that burgundy and black comment. But if Dan Snyder sold the team and they brought a new ownership, would that change something for you?
That might be a start. But I would have to, they're going to have to have a little track record too before I just.
They have brought in a new team president, Jason something. I forget his name. Brother. Mm-hmm. And apparently, look, away from the football field, he's brought in a culture change around it.
Well, if you're going to carry water for Dan Snyder like the rest of them do, then it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And for what I understand, he's not doing that. So to your point, yeah, you and I talk about Sam carrying water. Yes, carrying water is unacceptable. Doug Williams carried a little bit of water, and in his role. So we don't like how he was treated as quarterback, but I don't like how he acted as an executive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so there it is.
So one big story this week that has really kind of been like all over the news, and that's
hate to wrap it up on this.
Deshaun Watson, and we're very pro Deshaun Watson on this show. We felt like he got his payday, rightfully so. We felt like at one point and specifically this year, they did nothing to give him anything he needed to be successful. But then this drops down, and I think we're up to 9 at this point. So there's a ton of sexual assault allegations out there, specifically massage therapists and spas. And what's striking to me is it's one of those things where I want it to be true, but I also want it to be untrue. I want it to be true because I would find it hard to believe that all these women would make this up just to get ahead. I want it to be untrue because we cape for Deshaun Watson. We want him to do well. We want him to succeed.
Right.
My only real issue with this is that all of them are civil suits. If you want justice, you don't do it civilly. You do it criminally. And I know that there's talk about criminal charges possibly being brought on him, but that's like the key thing that kind of keeps me on the fence is like, look, if this really happened to you as a woman, this is horrible. But why are we pursuing this civilly? Because the only outcome there is that somebody gets paid.
Exactly.
So what are you guys' thoughts about what's going on with Deshaun Watson?
I'll let our guest answer.
Well, I'm like you. I mean, this guy has been pretty adamant that he don't want to play for the Texans. Right. I guess they thought bringing in a new GM and coaches, they would be able to sit down and maybe convince him otherwise, and that hasn't happened. So, and now all of a sudden you're getting these allegations. Quite honestly, I'm hoping, and I was talking about this to a friend, just last night, but I'm hoping, this is to the point where we need to see the affiliation between this attorney who's supposedly representing these women and the Texans organization. Like, because, and to your point, I said, why are there no criminal charges? Like, if you've been violated, that first thing you're thinking about is money. That just don't even sound right. Now, it's sad. It's really sad because, you're assassinating, if this is not true, you're assassinating this man's career, you're assassinating his post-career, and at the end of the day, for what? For control, it's part of the world that we live in, unfortunately, where, some folks don't get their way or get somebody who will stand up to them and go against the grain. And this is the kind of the reaction to it. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it seems like on the surface. Unless some lady showing me some text message like, hey, I don't know, I'm really upset about what happened last night, and he's responding and apologizing. Unless I can see some of that, I'm still Deshaun Watson. Like, that's what I would need to see for me. It's crazy. Like, this is all of a sudden out of the blue, and it's all civil. Like, come on, man. If you're violated, that ain't the first thing you're thinking about. Under normal circumstances, we're going to the police. We want some DNA samples and all of this. Like something. So yeah, it's
yeah, and apparently there are some texts. But not to your point, it would have to be something like what you just said. The texts are more so like he's making arrangements and an appointment with the massage therapist and asking her if she's comfortable with massaging glutes or whatever. Okay, so that's her proof. Like, he's asking. Now, to Sham's point and your point, you go for the money first.
Right.
Like, you can't, I don't care what, even if there's a legitimate reason for that, like, everybody got to sit around on the table like, it looks bad if we go for the money first, right? Like, even if there's a reason for that, we can't do that. If this happened, we can't go for the money first.
Right.
Because if you go for the money first, it looks like what it looks like. You want money.
That's it.
And so I'm of the position that whether it happened or not, going for the money first is not the move. And then, we were talking about this with Cuomo, the cascading of accusations, like accusation after. So, okay, I do understand that, sexual assault, Me Too, all this stuff happens and people feel empowered when someone makes an accusation that if something happened to them. I do understand that.
Absolutely.
But, like, within reason. Not like, oh, Deshaun Watson, like, held my hand 10 years ago. This other lady made an accusation against him, so now I'm going to throw my hat in the ring because he held my hand. Like, what does that accusation even mean? Now you're cheapening her accusation.
They said they could have as many as 12.
Yeah, it's like
by Monday.
So this man was a serial, like, and it just gets it's too muddy. It's too muddy. And Tim, what you're talking about with the team, the timing is awfully convenient.
Right?
Yeah.
That's literally like one of the first things I thought about this. I was like, wait a minute. Why now? Why now?
Exactly.
And, as a woman, look, I don't ever want to diminish, anything that if a woman feels like they've been, sexually assaulted or spoken to inappropriately or anything like that. Look, over the years, I've been spoken to in ways which you guys could probably never imagine. But it makes it so hard when you go for the money first for anyone to believe you. And I'm like, I hope upon hope that they are not making this stuff up, because that would just be horrible. So that's my thought on that. I mean,
it's sad though, because what was already an ugly situation with Deshaun Watson in Houston, I just wanted him to get the hell out of Houston and go to a good team, because they've just squandered his career, essentially.
Come to Philly. We save everybody.
Yeah, like Tim, Sham and I were talking about a couple of episodes ago. There was a clip of JJ Watt apologizing to Deshaun Watt. You saw that, right?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Sorry for you wasting your years here. Like,
boom.
Come on, man.
Boom.
Like, y'all been sending this joker to a gunfight with a butter knife, and he's still balling. Like, it's crazy, man. He's I love that kid, from his days at Clemson on through, like everything he's been representing, going as hard as he can, leaving it on the field. And he's such a great talent as well. Just hate to see this going down this way.
And I'll give him some credit, Sam. I'm all about denials, Tim. There are types of denials that I'm with and I'm not with. When somebody says something like, oh, I would never do something like that. Nah, I ain't with that. He said,
we don't know that.
He said, I didn't do this. And like, she's lying and they're lying and there's no truth to none of this. And like, do what you need to do. Investigate.
I did not have sexual relationships with this woman.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I mean, that's
wasn't the first one.
Look, that turned out to be a lie.
Right.
So maybe that's not the best
that
reference.
That didn't help.
But my point being, if you go and deny it. Now,
I did not use the cream or the clear, Rafael Palmeiro.
Oh my God. Yeah, point this finger at everybody, like, stop. Yeah. But nah, yeah. We wanted to talk about that with you because in general, you played in the league. Your stories about the league, man, it's just, I can talk to you about the 90s in the league forever, but we don't have forever.
Yeah, well, we've already tied Tim up for like 2.5 hours, which is way more time than he.
He was like, I signed up for
all
this.
Good, y'all good peoples, man. I definitely enjoyed this for sure.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed having you on. It's always great to, talk to somebody who's experienced these things. I mean, we're just fans. We talk about football every week on this show, but we don't really have any real connection to the sport, except that we love watching it. And just listening to you and hearing like your stories and with Ray too, and just getting that insider perspective is just invaluable. So we just really, really appreciate you coming on. And we would, anytime you want to come back, look,
absolutely,
you're part of the family now.
Hey, I feel that. We'll make it happen.
That's sure. What's up.
Yeah.
So, guys, we want to once again, thank you, retired NFL player Tim Jacobs, for joining us, DMV's own. If you're listening, thanks again. Make sure you tell a friend. You catch up with us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Check us out on www.stopplayinpodcast.com. Also on Facebook and Instagram at the Stop Playing Podcast, and on Twitter at @stop_playing_pod. And also visit us at our YouTube channel at Stop Playing Podcast. And like we always say, no double dipping. Keep your chips on the plate, and we'll talk to you next time.
Stop playing.